It's going to be fun trying to maybe figure out some names that we're looking into for 2023. And of course, it's a Friday episode. It's a fun episode with Name That War and baseball trivia. Let's get started right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure you check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays, as well as all the other traditional podcasting platforms as well. You can send us a email or voice memo to lockedonrays@gmail.com for a future mailbag episode. And as always, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. All right, getting into some prospect talk. We know the fan base loves some of that, but we're going to put a little twist on it on today's episode. We've heard a lot about Taj Bradley. We've heard a lot about Curtis Mead. Let's take them out of the equation entirely and focus on the prospect or prospects that we're most excited about in 2023. Ulises, which prospect is that for you?
I love the fact that you are, when we were talking about this, it was without Mead or Bradley, because I feel like we have talked endlessly about these two prospects, and it's nice to just kind of give somebody else, the spotlight. And I hope that we do that today. The guy that I want to highlight, he is an outfielder. He was drafted in the 5th round of the 2021 draft. He will be 22 years old for this season, 6'1", 210. His name is Mason Auer. Mason Auer. In 2022, he slashed 290, 372, 487 with 15 home runs between low A and high A for the Rays. So still hasn't touched the double A yet. He also had 12 triples, though. So he's got that speed, because he also stole 48 bags. So this guy is just the complete package so far. I read a report, an interview on Fangraphs they did with him by David Lorelia, who also said that Auer is rated the best defensive outfielder in among Rays prospects and has the best outfield arm. So all of those things would make you feel like, okay, we're all Mason fans. We want all good things to happen to Mason in 2023. So it should be very interesting to follow this guy in Double A and see what he can do, especially if he's able to decrease that strikeout rate. I mean, the walk to strikeout ratio is not where you want it to be. In fact, the strikeout rate is about 24%. That is just a bit too high. And in that interview, when David asked him what he should be looking forward to improving, that's exactly what Mason said, that he needs to better that strikeout ratio. So I'm very excited about this kid. If you see videos of him, in my opinion, I think when he bats, and maybe it's the high socks and the way that he just sprints out of the box, even if it's a homer, he reminded me very strongly of a young George Springer. So you can take that with a grain of salt. We all see baseball with a little bit of a different lens, but that's the guy that I was like, this guy just, as soon as I saw him hit a few times, I'm like, he reminds me of someone. And then I just had to go into my baseball archive in the cerebellum, and the name George Springer came about.
Very good. No, I like Mason Auer, and obviously the numbers speak for themselves. And I like the fact that you mentioned the arm strength as a former pitcher in high school, and that's kind of what he was also scouted as, that two-way player, if you will. And he comes from, I think, a relatively smaller community in Missouri, went to, not the biggest of colleges, I think Missouri State, and then transferred to a junior college that he's bet on himself. And I feel like there's some more on the bone. There's more development and potential. He's not a finished product. He's not a guy that, came out of one of the blue blood schools or one of the powerhouse high schools. Like, I think there's something. He's got the raw tools and the build and the skill set, and I think it can be more refined, and that there's the ceiling could be very, very high for him, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, and again, like it seems that he has everything, right? He's good with the glove, he's good with the arm.
Yeah.
He just that strikeout ratio is basically what I didn't like. But I mean, he's 20, he's going to be 22. I mean, he hasn't even had his birthday; it's in March, so
Right.
he's a very, very young guy with a lot of time to develop, and that usually comes with age anyway. When we see guys that have the strikeout recognition, the strike zone recognition, and like as good as Wander Franco at 22, you're like, oh, this is just out of the world. Like that just
Right.
comes with age. Like Wander is an outlier, so that'll come with time with Mason. And it feels like there are a couple of names, obviously above him in the hierarchy, but he is one of the guys that if you really like prospects and you want to get into more into prospects this year, this is a guy that maybe you should be looking out for, and what he's able to do in Double-A.
Well, I love Wheels and the fact that he can steal damn near 50 bags in a season and 12 triples or whatever it was. That's really, really exciting stuff, and that makes the game a lot more fun too. And I think he's a guy that's under the radar, undervalued, and probably has a little bit of chip on his shoulder of where he came from, and maybe not getting all the respect that he deserves, as opposed to, if he played in California or Texas or California or Georgia or even Illinois compared to Missouri. So I think there's something to be said with that as well. I'll tell you which prospect, not named Curtis Mead, not named Taj Bradley, not named Mason Auer, that I'm excited about, Ulises. But first, we have a important message that we have to tell the audience.
Yeah, and that important message is that if you want something that tastes delicious, but you don't want fat and calories, then you've got to try Built Bars. I've told you this 1,000 times. Built Bars are healthy, but they're incredibly tasty too. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate, and you love it because it has 17 grams of protein, only 130 calories, and 4 grams of sugar. So it's really, really good if you're trying to stay fit during your New Year's resolutions of 2023. And now, even better, you don't have to wait around to get a box. If you order at built.com, now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. So you can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream or double chocolate. If you go to Walmart, maybe you try some brownie batter or churro flavor in Sam's Club. So again, you don't have to wait for your box. You can go to Walmart or you can go to Sam's Club and get your delicious and tasty and healthy Built Bars.
All right, the guy that I am most excited about in 2023 and beyond. Not necessarily saying this guy's going to make his debut. I think you're on the same page with Mason Auer. He's not going to make his major league debut in 2023. It's just a guy that we're looking at on making some major strides this upcoming year. And that is, and I don't even know if he can, I mean, he's starting to pop off as we see and getting more recognition. Kyle Manzardo. And normally you wouldn't be excited about a guy that only plays first base and is limited defensively, but I am almost tired of versatility up the middle athlete types. I want a guy that can just hit, and isn't a platoon guy, that can hit lefties, that can hit righties, and that is Kyle Manzardo. I want a professional hitter. Even, that has never been more needed than right now for the current Rays roster. So we can talk about Vidal Brujan. We can talk about Carson Williams. We can talk about all these other guys. We can talk about the Xavier Edwards and Greg Jones, but just give me a guy that has the floor or ceiling to hit, 280, 290, 20 to 28 home runs in a big league season. And that, I think, could be Kyle Manzardo. Maybe not in the big leagues in 2023, maybe sometime in the middle of 2024. And I'm going to run through some facts here.
Okay.
He's the son of a high school baseball coach. He's the highest draft pick from Washington State University in 30 years. He was a starter all 3 years at Washington State University. Here's some fun ones. Only San Francisco Giants prospect Von Brown logged a higher WRC plus or WOBA compared to Kyle Manzardo. 175 to 173, 464 to 450. Now, Manzardo playing with Bowling Green and Montgomery, high A and double A respectively, he slashed a combined 327, 426, 617 with 22 home runs. He was the 2022 Rays minor league player of the year. And as Peter Bendix, Rays general manager, explained in an interview on Fangraphs, he said this about Kyle Manzardo. Left-handed hitter, first baseman, just had as good of an offensive year as anybody in the minor leagues. He was drafted in 2021 and ended this season in Double A. I don't know if he's still under the radar. Nationally, he probably is, but the dude can hit. He, period, can, period, hit, period.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love the periods there. And if you go into his Double A, he only played 30 games, but I mean, yeah, he was basically around the same numbers that you were putting up: a 977 OPS, 323 batting average. Just very impressive. If it had been 30 games in Triple A last year instead of Double A, I think the fandom would be screaming for him to be, hey, Brandon Belt, Luke Voigt, Trey Mancini. Nah, give me Kyle Manzardo. Get him a whole year of at-bats for him to kind of go and find his way. The issue is that it was 30 games in Double A. Now, I don't see him. I don't see him playing this year with the Rays. I know the optimists will clamor for him. Sure, but I think you need. Would you, first of all, do you think he starts the year in Double A or Triple A?
I think they would probably give him several more weeks or a month plus in Double A, and then see how he progresses from there, and then give him the call up to Triple A.
I think so too. I think he would start in Double A, maybe a month, 6 weeks or whatever. Then he gets the call up, and then you get the whole rest of the season in Triple A, see what you can do, and then fight for a job in spring training for the next year. But I know, there are prospect people out there, and especially if you're Rays fans, and they're going to be like, well, he has done nothing but hit, and he definitely can help the team. Let's remember that, obviously those numbers are going to take a hit when you're facing major league pitching. So yes. I would temper just calm. Let's calm ourselves, but it's very difficult to calm yourselves when the guy's putting, 1 dot on the OPS side. Like, that's really remarkable.
Yeah. And again, that's why I kind of go back to we've talked so much about athletic up the middle types, but the Rays are struggling to find a guy that can hit 240 and 15 home runs. Like, there's a reason that they went out and drafted Xavier Isaac in the first round. Not typical at all. Where it's just like, give us Ty France, give us Nate Lowe again, give us Austin Riley, give us Jordan Alvarez. I don't care if you're first base only, DH only, just a middle of the order cementation in the lineup. That's what we need.
It's a very maybe rudimentary word, but it's the S word. You need a scary guy.
Yeah.
You need a scary guy in the lineup. Like, who's scary right now?
Not many guys in that lineup. I mean, Brandon Lau, sure.
You bring
Randy
a nasty lefty
at points.
But yeah, exactly. But like with power, like scary, like, there's 2 men on. This could become really quickly a 3-run game. I will give you Brandon Lau. The issue with Brandon Lau is you bring a lefty and you can make him seem foolish, and it doesn't have to be a Shane McClanahan type against Brandon Lau. It could just be a Jalen Beeks type that gives fits to Brandon Lau. So that's not completely scary. A scary guy is no matter who's on the mound, you are afraid of the 3-run shot. I don't think the Rays have that guy right now.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be the 3-run shot. It can be the opposite field double. And I think that's what Kyle Manzardo provides. If you look at and read the scouting reports and look at the film of he can hit velocity, he can hit off speed, he sprays the ball all around. He's got great pitch recognition and bat to ball skills. And at the end of the day, yeah, he's probably never going to be a 30, 35, 40 home run potential guy, but there's people out there saying his floor is 290 with 20 homers. That is amazing. That is remarkable.
How many guys could do that right now? 20 home runs. We talked about it on Monday. Both predictions, like not even hitting 25. So a guy that would be his floor. Like, I mean, again, I was talking scary with power. If you're talking gaps down the middle, obviously that has a first and last name, and his name is Wander Franco.
Yeah. But a guy that's just not a strikeout, a guy that's not going to strike out 30, 35% of the time.
Exactly. No,
and
he's
like,
impressive,
when's the last time? I know it's not the most glamorous or flashy thing to discuss, but when's the last time that the Rays had a legit, like, everyday first baseman? James Loney? Is that how far we have to go back, where a guy played, okay, we know, pencil him in 150 plus games at first. Not going to bring power, but he'll give you a 290 average. I mean, James Loney did good things for the organization. I think so. There's much more of a higher ceiling, at least power-wise, for Manzardo. I think the average and the on-base is probably, again, James Loney had a solid career, right? But just a guy that, that makes it easy on Kevin Cash in the front office, that plug and play. It doesn't matter if it's a lefty, righty, just stick him at first and it's fine.
Platoons are all fine and dandy for 162. In fact, they might work better because you keep guys fresh and avoid health injuries. The problem is in the playoffs. You can't just expect platoons to work out in a very small window of time. Yeah. Because it'll work itself out through a large sample size, 162 games. But in a 3-game series, 5-7 games, like it's very difficult for those platoons to work out in smaller sample sizes. It's just, it's basically roll the dice. Either they do it or they don't. Usually, though, in a 162, it'll work itself out.
Getting to some listener comments here. Locked On A's, Locked On Athletics podcast, our counterpart, says, still waiting on you to trade us Junior Caminero. Sure, if you give us Seth Brown and something else, maybe.
By the way, Junior Caminero is just killing it also. So if you also want to get into prospects, he's definitely another name to look out for.
Dingers TV says, Manzardo and my personal favorite from the 2022 draft class, Brock Jones. I believe he was drafted out of Stanford. John says, some under-the-radar guys, Nico Holsizer and Sandy Gaston. I really hope Sandy, he can figure it out. A lot of Kyle Manzardos here. Aram Layton, our buddy, and if there's an expert on prospects, it is him. He says, Manzardo, no doubt, but don't sleep on Ronnie Simone. Very good. Golf to the Hall of Fame says JJ Goss. Tavo says Osleves Basabe. Cody Martin says Mason Montgomery. Chris Snyder says Cameron Meisner is supposed to be a great outfielder with power, but strikes out too much. But Kiermaier played for a decade, and I'm not sure Meisner can hit as well as him with plus power. I don't know how the Rays will handle it. Yeah, Cameron Meisner, I think he's a quad A guy, just being frank about that.
Somebody has to be.
He might get an opportunity at some point and, get a cup of coffee in the bigs, but there's only so many prospects that make it to the bigs and stay at the bigs. I mean, that's the toughest. A lot of guys get opportunities. A lot of guys get that cup of coffee, that handful at bat, that week, that multiple weeks, that month, that season. But can you have long-term staying hours? Staying is the harder part oftentimes than just making it, getting the call up.
And that might be it, though. Like, I mean, if you're lucky, you get a season. But, I mean, that might be it of, like, just sometimes it's just a game, dude. Yeah. It's just 3 at-bats you got. And then boom, they cut you DFA'd and nobody ever picked you up. And that was it. You had your 3 at-bats and that's it. And it's sad, but it's just the reality. There's only 700 plus spots. That's it, man. So when you're talking about that, everybody from your, if you go to Fangraphs and you do a roster resource, the majority of those names are never going to see major league action. So hopefully, more often than not, the Rays don't actually have that, and all these guys perform well, and either they're useful for trades and get some nice pieces back for the MLB team, or they come up and they're able to produce.
Very true. All right, let's move along here. It is a Friday episode, which means we have baseball trivia and Name That War. Ulises, what do you have in the realm of baseball trivia?
Well, I was very enthused about Mason Auer and the fact that he is a triples machine with 12. So then that kind of got me thinking about who were the top 20 active leaders for triples in MLB right now. Okay, so in front of me, I have a list of the guys who are ranked 1 to 20. They're still active. Okay, so I want you to name out of the 20, can you name 7 of these guys? So just
Seven.
as a hint, because I believe that you should deserve a hint. Obviously, none of these guys are ARB eligible. That's all I'll say. So
they've all had free agent contracts, or I would imagine if you're a top 20 active leader that you've played for a very long time.
Exactly. So there you go. That's your hint. Now take it away.
This is a really good trivia question. Trying to think if there's or would be any Rays on this list. Speed demons. Okay. Little off the wall here, but I'll throw it out. Billy Hamilton.
Billy Hamilton is correct. He's number 14 on the list with 39.
Okay. I'll say Kevin Kiermaier.
Kevin Kiermaier is correct. He is number 5 with 51.
Okay. I want to say Manny Margot, but I don't know if I'm ready to go that far just yet. I'll maybe come back to that. All right. Kevin Kiermaier, Billy Hamilton. I'm trying to think. Steals. Who generated a lot of steals over the years? Man, I am blanking. My memory is
Hold up. You said steals, but I don't know. I mean, if you're going on a roundabout.
I know it's not steals. I'm just kind of correlating steals to triples.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'll go Andrew McCutchen.
Andrew McCutchen is correct. He is number 9 with 49.
Okay. I'll go Trey Turner.
Trey Turner is correct. He is number 20. He barely made it with 36.
Okay, getting on a little bit of a roll here.
It's like the home run derby. Yeah.
Oh, man. Got to think about this. I should just go by down the line, team to team. If Brett Gardner was still active, but I don't think he's still active.
No.
No. Okay. That's not my strike.
You've got 4 out of 7 so far, which is really good. No strikes.
I'll go with Francisco Lindor.
Francisco Lindor is your first strike. He is not on the top 20.
I think I'm still going to go with big contracts. Carlos Correa.
Carlos Correa is incorrect. Strike 2. Wow. He is not in the top 20.
I will go another big contract, and maybe not quite as big as those. Oh, I'm kind of deciding between Xander Bogaerts or George Springer. I'll go with George Springer.
You could have gone with neither of them because neither of them is correct. Stumped you at 4. Do you want to take a little foul tip?
Let me just give me one more. Sorry, foul tip. Bryce Harper
is incorrect. This is just like last week when I was like on every name. I was like, God, Yeah. Okay. Number 1, I'll give it to you. Dexter Fowler with 82. Number 2, Charlie Blackmon, 58. Alcides Escobar, 58. D. Strange Gordon, 55. You got Kiermaier right. Starling Marte, 51. Mike Trout. When you said big contracts, I was like, yes, the biggest.
Yeah.
Mike Trout, number 7. Elvis Andrus, 50. You got Andrew McCutchen right. Ray legend. A Rays legend here. David Peralta at number 10 with 47.
That's
Gene
surprising.
Segura with 45. I know. Brandon Crawford with 43. Eduardo Escobar with 41. Billy Hamilton, you got right, at 39. Jason Hayward, 39. Justin Upton, 38. Brendan Belt, future Rays legend. Who knows?
Yeah.
36. And then Corey Dickerson, DJ LeMahieu, and you got Trey Turner. All of them tied at 36.
Great trivia question.
Thank
a lot
you.
of names
I got
on that list I
inspired.
didn't expect to be on that list. I mean,
What-
maybe there's speed and athleticism, but just like, did they get enough hits in a season?
It's like that the compound effect. You know, you're if you just have medium to 75 percentile speed and you just hold on enough for 10 to 15 years, you're gonna get your triples, man.
You're gonna rack them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. All right. This was a tip from one of our listeners in a twist on Name That War, where I'm going to provide the names of 2 retired big leaguers, Ulises, and you need to guess which of those has the higher career WAR and try to guess that player's respective career WAR. So, my 2 names are Jeff Cirillo and Ray Langford. Who has the higher career WAR?
What a Bush League question for the first ever comparison war. Bush League. This is under protest already.
Okay, fair. Well, I've had like 3 under protest trivia questions when you did the
Dugout?
stadium, where is the dugout located, on the first base or third base side. So I've got a couple more of these up my sleeve before we're even.
I was definitely a trivia troll for those 3 times. Well, first of all, let's give credit where credit is due. R Hill, I think he's at R Hill something, but he knows who he is. So thank you, R Hill, for the suggestion. We're doing it. Maybe 6 months, a little bit too late, but we're doing it. Say the 2 names again. I even forgot them. My
Jeff
goodness,
Cirillo.
Okay.
Jeff Cirillo and Ray Langford, and I mean their careers more or less crossed paths.
Ray Langford. I don't even remember this guy. Langford.
Well, Cardinals fans might lambaste you for that.
Langford. Jeff Cirillo, definitely. You know what? Just because I don't remember Langford, I'm gonna go with Mr. Jeff Cirillo. Has the higher WAR.
And what is his career WAR?
I have no clue. I have no gauge. I have no gauge whatsoever. 0. I don't. I have. It could be anything. It
Throw
could
out a
be
number.
literally anything. How many seasons did he play? Can you give me that?
He played 14 seasons.
Oh, wow. Gonna go with 12.3.
Okay. And then Ray Langford would have
9.1.
Okay. Well,
all right.
I'm definitely not going to be sharing this audio with Jeff Cirillo or Ray Langford or their respective families, friends, etc.
Did I just lambast them horribly?
Oh, horribly.
Okay, wait.
Jeff Cirillo.
Wait. Give me another one. Foul tip. Can I get a foul tip?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Jeff Cirillo.
14 years in the bigs.
I'm gonna go with Jeff. Well, I mean, you know, who was the other day? Oh, Deming Young had like 3 WAR in like 15, didn't he?
That's true.
Okay, Jeff Cirillo. Let's do it for real. Jeff Cirillo, 14 years in the bigs. He was great. Goodish. More goodish than great. Maybe a couple great seasons. Maybe 3 or 4. So let's give him some 26 WAR for Jeff Cirillo. And Langford, I'm going to go with 18.
Okay.
Is that better?
It's better. I still am not going to be sharing this podcast with either of them.
Fair enough.
Ray
Okay.
Langford, for the record, has the higher career WAR than Jeff Cirillo. Let me get that out of the way. Ray Langford played 14 years, just like Jeff Cirillo did in the bigs from 1990 to 2004. Had 5 2020 seasons, and it wasn't just 2020. Like, he was putting up 25, 30 home runs, 35 stolen bases, 24, 26 stolen bases. He actually, in fact, is in the San Francisco Cardinals Hall of Fame. 38.2 career WAR, 238 homers, 272 batting average. Maybe why you hadn't really been too familiar with him was because he was only a one-time All-Star.
And because I was 13 when he retired. Yeah, Cardinals?
Yes,
no way. Yeah, I had no knowledge of this guy at all.
Yeah, the bulk of his stardom was, 1992 to 1999, 2000. But I feel like
year-old babies don't keep these stats. I'm gonna give myself
I don't know about all that.
I know. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. 840 career.
Wow.
OPS 123 career OPS plus.
Stud.
So yeah, he was a stud left-handed hitter and center fielder. Jeff Cirillo, his career WAR, and I was surprised by this, 34.5. He was a two-time All-Star, third baseman and first baseman, played from 1994 to 2007. Many years with Milwaukee, then he bounced around with Colorado, Seattle, Arizona, Minnesota, and San Diego. 296 hitter for his career with 112 home runs. He never struck out more than 100 times. The most he struck out in a season was in 1998 with 88 strikeouts. He batted .321 that year, by the way. So dude could hit, didn't have a lot of power, especially from a corner infield spot, but he'd bring the extra base hits. I mean, he had 53 doubles in a year with Colorado and hit. I mean, he had, let me count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 300 plus seasons. And they were like 319, 321, 326, 325. So really solid player. His OPS, and 796 OPS plus 102. Again, it shows that didn't have much power, over the fence power, I should say. But you could rely upon him to get a base hit for you.
And I'm looking at all those like 321, 325 averages, 326, 326. He was posting, man, like 684 plate appearances, 697, 694, 643, 661. Now, this guy was really, really good. Pretty cool. Again, you grabbed names where, 1990, 1994, we might not be as...
Cirillo retired in 2004. You were watching baseball. You were watching... Did you really get heavily into baseball? I guess it was the Rays 2008 season. You were watching baseball.
but that's Rays baseball. But before, I mean, I think the first real good season that I started watching, like paying attention to what was going on, was probably like 2000, I would say. The major leagues. I mean, I was watching, Venezuelan Winter League like since I was like 4 or 5, but Major League Baseball, I think
you should have been familiar with both Ray Langford and Jeff Cirillo. Not saying they were superstars, but I feel like you would have heard both of their names, or you did.
No way. Milwaukee, small market. Arizona, you're kidding. I mean, Seattle, what? San Diego, and then what? The Cardinals? I don't think so, friend. I don't think so. We should make a poll about this. If you're born in 1991,
we really should.
Should you know? I'll let you come up with Ray Langsford.
I'll let you come up with the poll. Yeah.
Jeff Cirillo, I knew. I just definitely discounted his WAR, but Langsford.
If you were born before 1991,
you should know him.
Do you know him? Yeah, something like that. Anyway.
Okay.
Sorry for disrespecting Ray Langford and Jeff Cirillo.
Yes.
I guess they won't be giving us any of their millions upon millions of dollars that they earned over their careers.
That sucks. Yes.
All right. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast. That is also free and available on all platforms. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.